Welcome to what I believe is our second authentication office hour. We have a lot more office hour that we do one every Friday, but this is a second one specifically around authentication. The last one was about stored variable, which was an interesting new feature that kind of lets you persist data throughout different multiple sessions for users. So it's a little technical, but essentially that was going to be a building block for us to build on top of. So now we can build more advanced authentication workflow. So I wanted to take maybe an hour, maybe a little less, we'll see, to walk you through an example. So internally, we have built a standalone app to do authentication through Firebase. Let me start right away by showing a demo of the end result, and then we'll rebuild the app to see how it's done. So I have this app here, Firebase Authentication. I'm going to show the PWA. So we have many ways to publish something in Draftbit, and one of them is a progressive web app. So you can see it in your browser, and it renders nicely in that kind of iPhone mark. So this is the app. Like I said, it's a standalone auth app, so it doesn't do much. It doesn't do anything except just authenticate a user, which is the whole point. Here I have four screens, an index one, which is what you land on when the app just loads. And then we have a sign up page and to create a new user with an email and password. We have a login page to identify a user with login and password. And then we also have a home page. And as you see, when I click home, I'm actually redirected to the index page because I'm not yet authenticated. So I cannot access the core of the application, which is exactly what we want to happen. So I'm just going to demonstrate quickly. So on the index page, those are essentially just two links that goes to both the sign up page and the login page. I'm going to create a new user. I'm going to call it a test user at draftbit.com. And maybe I'll demonstrate as well while I'm doing it that we handle errors. So if I put like a typo in my email, it should tell me your password must be 6 character. You missed your password. So all right, and let me add something. Now it's telling me, oh, I clicked the wrong button. Sorry, here we go. Sign up. I clicked login, so I went back to the login screen. My bad. But let me try again. So what was I doing? Test at draftbit.com and then test as a password. I'm going to try sign up. The email is badly formatted. Yes, because I have that space, which is not good. So now let's try again. The password is too short. All right, I'm going to, right now I wrote test. I'm going to do test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we should be done. But that was just to illustrate the error handling that we do. And now I have access to that homepage. Oh, in case I forgot to mention it, this kind of tab at the bottom is not something you will probably use in your app. It's mostly for like demonstration purposes, so you can see me navigate between the different pages. But ideally, your use case would just be whatever is on the top of that screen. So now I'm on my homepage. If I try to go back to the index page, it does not work, which is what I want. It redirects me to the homepage because I'm logged in. So I have a logged in experience. I'm also showing you kind of the user ID that I've created through that authentication process and that I can now use to do other requests. And this user ID is saved in stored variable, which is the thing we released a couple of weeks ago now, maybe a little more, that lets you persist a variable in Draftbit throughout multiple sessions. If you're not familiar with stored variable and if you care about it, like I said, we've done an entire office hour on that and we've shared that video online. So look at the community website, look at the auth channel, or look at YouTube. If you really can't find it, which would be surprising, just reach out and I'm happy to send you that video, just if you care about that, like that building block. For now, just to finish the demo, you can always log out, obviously. And when you log out, you go back to the logged out experience, which is the index page. And I can now demonstrate how to log in. So I've created a user. Now I can log in as that user when I come back. Test at Draftbit. I said the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now I can log in and get to the homepage. And if I were to reload the page, which is the equivalent of like reloading the app, I will come back to that logged in experience. So this is essentially what we're trying to build today. So that's the app. I'm going to start a new app. I'm going to do it from scratch because I think it shows a little bit better, like the different steps, as opposed to just showing you this one that is already built. But I'm going to leave this one open just because I might refer to it. Some pieces of code that I don't necessarily know by heart. So let me go back to my dashboard, the Draftbit dashboard. I'm going to create a new app. Here we go, create a new app. I'm going to call it Firebase Authentication. Okay. I'm going to start blank app. Here it is. This is my app. I'm going to go ahead and start by creating all the different screens that we're going to need. The first one is the index screen. And then I'm going to add another blank screen, which is the sign up screen. And then another one, which is the logging screen. Hopefully all of that is self-explanatory at this point, but again, feel free to interrupt me if you have any question. And then finally, the home screens, where I will end up when I'm fully logged in. I'm going to give it a little bit of information. So I'm just going to essentially put a title on each one so we know what screen we're referring to or which screen we're on when we do the preview. Going to do a little bit of styling. Hopefully that might also be an interesting way for people who are not as familiar with Draftbit to understand or to see someone use the platform a little bit more. So here we go. Can change the font, can change the position and all that. All right, so this is my index screen. I'm gonna quickly do that for the other one. Okay, so now I have my index page, sign up page, logging, and home. Should be clear enough. I want my index page to have two buttons, and essentially, I'll make this one a outline so we can dissociate them a little bit better. So this is going to be a way to go to my sign up page, sign up screen, I should say, and this is going to be a way to go to the logging screen. And those two are going to be very straightforward. So I'm just going to navigate. So on tap, I'm going to navigate to which one did I select? Sign up screen. And this one is going to navigate to the logging screen. Okay, so here we go. It never hurts to preview every now and then, see if everything you've done so far is working as you expect it to work. So I click that little like play icon here, and I can see sign up. I can see login. Here we go. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is in the sign up screen, we're going to start creating a little form that we're going to use the email and password. Those are the methods we're going to use to create the user. You can change the placeholder text to say email and same thing for here to say password. And I'm going to make it a password input so it'll look better when it's previewed. I want to be able to reference that text input later on so I can send it to Firebase. So I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it email value, for example. And same thing for the password. Here we go. All right, and then just one big button at the bottom to say, actually do sign up. Okay. All right, and so when that button is clicked or tapped, I want to run a custom function. I haven't done it yet. Obviously, it's a brand new app, but I want to essentially create a sign up function here that will create a new user in Firebase. So that's going to be our next step here. For that, first thing we're going to do is connect Firebase with our application. That's obviously going to be a requirement. And then create that sign up function in custom code in Draftbit. Step one, connect Firebase. All right, we have this Firebase service in the data tab that you can use. I'm going to have to provide some information like the configuration for Firebase, the service account file and all that. So I'm going to do that quick because we have also covered that piece, like the connection with Firebase and how to get data, display, delete, update, all of that in previous videos. So if you're curious about like how to use the Firebase database and how to connect it with Draftbit, with that covered in actually a couple of videos now, feel free to have a look at that. So for now, I'm going to rush through that process a little bit, but feel free to reach out if you need more help there. Okay, so I need to configure it. So I'm going to project settings. I'm going to copy paste my config file or array. I'm going to give it like a service account file that I'm going to generate just now. There we go. I'm just picking it up now. in my Finder. Here we go. So now I've already received all of the collection that I have going on in that Firebase pilot project. And those are everything, for what it's worth, that I have going on as a database here. But we're not going to worry about the Firebase database right now. We only care about the Firebase authentication for those videos. So what you're going to want to do is turn that on. I already have it turned on, but I think you might have one screen when it's your first time that says turn on Firebase authentication. So click that up. And then signing methods, I've used the email and password. You can use others. I won't cover the other methods in this video. I'm just going to stick with email and password to keep this fairly simple and not too long. But so that's it. I've connected my Firebase. Is one little thing you need to know is that you also need to then declare it at the screen level. So what I mean by that is then for each of the screen, you're going to want to go to your data tab on the right-hand side and just add that kind of connection that we just set up here. And it doesn't really matter what connection you use in this context, because again, I'm not going to use the database side of it, just the auth, but I do need to set that up. So it's aware of Firebase. Okay, so I've created that null collection that is just empty. It's just a placeholder for me. Base collection, no. I'm just going to do that for all my screen once and for all, and then I'll be set. Collection, no. Okay. So now Firebase is fully connected. So step 2, as I mentioned, I'm going to create a sign up custom function. So for that, you go to that custom tab here at the top, and there's a few things I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to import the Firebase auth package. We're going to need that to use Firebase auth. We're going to just take the latest. Here we go. So that's kind of a requirement, something you have to do. I'm also going to make sure that I import a few things. And that's the part that I don't know by heart. So I'm just going to copy and walk you through all of those imports. So we not only want to import React, the Firebase auth that I just mentioned. This is also a way to have access to Firebase at the object at the high level. And this is the part where we get access to our stored variable. Those variables that are going to persist over multiple sessions. So that's how you access it. So use value is to get them, and use set value is to set them. And we'll see later on how I use that to save the user ID. And by the way, I got to save. Here we go, save now. If you want to save them, so those store variable I was talking about are going to be under project settings right here under that little icon. So store variable, I'm going to just right now create one that's user ID. That's the one I'm going to use to save the user ID that I just created so I can do login again. All right, so I think I'm good here. Got my form. Oh, the only thing I need now is that function, that sign up function. So I click custom function. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it sign up. And this part too, I might just copy paste because I don't exactly know it by heart. It looks a little intimidating, but that is actually a good amount of stuff that we could get rid of. That is just for like debug purposes. So essentially that function gets the Firebase object that we've declared in the custom code a second ago, this is using the Firebase SDK. So it calls the auth on it, and then calls the create user with email and password function. And all we do here is sign up email and sign up password. By the way, I think in this example, I called them differently. I think I called them, was it email value and password value that we did earlier? So I'm going to just make sure I avoid mistakes. And then when that's returned, I'm going to set the variable, that stored variable that I created earlier, that's user ID. I'm going to save it here. I'm going to save the UID that I received from Firebase. And then this is, for me, if I want to save errors, so I want to display errors, it's not a requirement for auth, but it's nice to show errors. And Firebase does a good job at returning interesting errors for your users, and like properly formatted in a way that human can read. So I'll recommend using those, but it's weird to you. And then when everything went well, we go to the home screen. And then if we catch an error, if things don't go well, I'm going to set those variables as well, but I'm going to sign out and not go to the home screen. So I'm going to stay. One thing that I'm going to add on the home page, on the home screen, is a text to show that user ID variable, just to make sure that it worked. So user ID, and that's why I'm going to use that variable that I set. So here it is. I'm mapping the name to the actual stored variable. So hopefully when I sign up and I'm redirected to home, there should be my user ID showing up here. All right, let's see. Did I forget anything before I try? We'll see. It'll let us know if we forgot anything. So I'm going to preview. All right, so I got sign up, login. I want to do sign up. I'm going to call it at draftbit.com. I'm going to call it test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here it is. Okay. Oh, did I actually map? I think I actually forgot to, in the sign up screen on that sign up button, to actually, on tap, I need to then run that custom function. I stopped and went and did it, but I did not come back to plug it in. Okay, so now it's plugged. It's going to do sign up. Okay. Oh, still running into an issue. Let's find out. You might not be able to see that in the screen recording, but I'm looking at the console now, trying to see what have I missed. We're missing, it says set variable is not defined. So that's very helpful.
Oh, that might be a misname. It should probably be set value. I remember a little while ago, there was some kind of typo in the copy paste that I had given you. I think that might be it.
Got it. Because so here when we get those two methods that we're going to use to access a store variable, they're called set values and use set values. I want to make sure indeed, as Alan just said, that we are using the right name. Yeah, here it's set variable. You're right. You're entirely right.
There should be set value. And there's also like a screen hook that is what defines that function, which calls the use set value.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so we have that little.
Yeah.
So
right,
we explain a little bit what we just discovered, make sure I'm on the right screen. So in that sign up screen, we have another function that is just an inline hook right here, inline code. And what we did is essentially map that use set value to set variable. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here and make sure we code those, bring them back to set variable. Okay. Okay, so now we still have that inline code that essentially use that function that is being declared in custom code right here. All right, quick side note, every time you wonder what the outcome of it all is from a code point of view, you can always look at that view code here and see, so this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the inline hook that we just set. So we set that set variable name to that thing. And so then when I use it here, I can make sure that they match, sorry. So it's always kind of a good little trick to just look at the code and make sure everything's what you expect it to be. So sign up, let's try it one more time. Still Toto at draftbit.com, test password. Nope, still running into a little issue, it seems. Looking at the console log for just a sec. Oh, that's interesting. So in the console log, I got auth email already in use. Yes, which makes sense. So I've already, as I tried the first time, I did end up creating that user because it only broke at the very end of the process. So the user was created. And because in this app, I'm just starting it, so I haven't done any fancy error handling yet. But you know what, actually, let's take a second and I'll kind of illustrate how to do error handling, because that's a good time because we have an error now, so might as well. So I'm going to call this error. Actually, I'm going to set a new variable. I'm going to call sign up error. And so now, as part of my sign up function, I'm setting up that variable, a slightly different name. I forgot that underscore thing. So now I'm going to, when I get an error, I'm going to set it, I'm going to put it in that variable name. So hopefully we can see what's going on as opposed to me having to look at the console. I'm going to put it at the bottom because that's typically where error. Okay. And now it should appear here, sign up error. That would be cool. Let's try it. So now I have to make sure I use the same. So I still trigger that error, draftbit.com, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yay, here we go. So it worked. I returned the error from Firebase. The email address is already in use by another account. You might want to make that red and bigger, whatever you want, as you've seen me do on the demo app that we looked at the beginning. But for now, I'm just going to call it Toto2. I'm going to click sign up, and here we go. I got redirected to home. This is the user ID for that new user that was just created. And if I look at the Firebase side of things, I can now see that user being saved. So we've essentially created a new user, which is awesome. What I'm going to do, I'm going to follow that process. And now in that home, now that we have created a new user, and we have been able to get to the homepage with that user being logged in, I want to illustrate how you sign out. So I'm going to add another little button to let's make it as well, do things a little more visually appealing. So I'm going to call, this is more of the error I want. Oh, wait, actually, that's the one I want. Sorry. Here we go. This is going to be logout. And I'm going to show you, we're going to do a very similar thing, meaning when you click log out, we're going to run a custom function that I have to write. I haven't done it yet. So let's go and write that function right now. Here it is. I'm going to call it log out. I still don't know everything by heart, so I might just cheat a little bit and look at the function that I already wrote. And I will share all that code, obviously, with the community, so you guys have access to all of that. Okay, so let's look at that code a little bit. We're still accessing that Firebase object. We're still calling auth on it. And now instead of the create, what was it? Create user with email and password. Now it's just sign out, which is what we want to do. When it works, we're going to reset the user ID value. We're going to reset the sign up error value, which I call slightly differently. That's why I'm removing this character. We're going to reset any kind of logging error. We haven't even got into that, but we'll address that later. And we're going to go back to the index screen, so completely logged out. If anything happened during that process, we're going to save that error message in the logout error, and we're going to display that on the screen. It's very similar flow that the creator user. I'm going to save this. Okay, I need to copy that inline hook, sorry, that we did for the other one as well, because we did use the set variable name in there. So I'm going to do the same thing we did earlier. If you guys remember, we have that one line just to make sure that set variable is using the right thing here. Okay, save. Yeah, in case you forgot, this is so we can use that set variable here. Okay, so now I think I got everything. A couple of things I quickly mention is that we now have a logout error. And while I'm at it, I might as well just create the logging error that we're going to address later. Okay, so I'm going to also display that error just in case. That way, if something goes wrong, we know what happened. So I'm going to just call it logout error. Here we go. So if something goes wrong, it should appear on the screen. I think I got everything. A lot of moving pieces. So let's give it a try. Maybe I missed something. We'll find out. It'll tell us. Okay, so I'm logged in. Log out. Okay, so I did not do it. Oh, wait, did I do the exact same thing I did last time? I forgot to plug that button to the actual custom function. Yes. So now just make sure that on tap, I'm going to run that custom function that I just wrote that is called logout. Okay, preview again. See, I'm logged in, click logout, and boom, I'm now on the index page. So that's awesome. That's what I want to do. That user is now completely logged out. So that's pretty awesome. Next step, login. We've done sign up, we've done log out. Let's do login. So login screen, same thing. I'm going to need a couple of text input, one for the email, one for the password. We're going to need a button for login. Okay. So I need to give those text input a name so I can reference them later. I think for the sign up, I call that email value. So I'm going to call this one something slightly different so we're not too confused. Email value login. Actually, let me write it like that. Okay. Email value login. I'm going to change the placeholder text so we know what it is. There we go. Same thing for password. Password value login. Okay. I'm going to call this one. Oh. Call this one password input. Okay, the button, we can also give it a bit name. Again, okay, and I'm can also display any kind of potential error message that we get. That's gonna be login error. Okay, excellent. Okay, so now for login, what do we need? We have our right package. We import the right thing in that custom code component thing here. I do need two things, that inline hook that I've been doing every time, which is this one. So just making sure this is, again, for those who just joined, because a few of you are joining throughout, this is how we access our stored variable. So that's what we're going to use to store the user ID and the errors and all of that. Okay, so now we have that. By the way, it's going to be a custom hook code. Okay, all done. So I have this, and I need another function to do login now. Yeah. Oh, I think I'm gonna have, here we go. Add. Just making sure I didn't delete anything. Okay, login. All right, same thing. I don't know that by heart. You don't have to either, because I'm going to share that with everybody. But for now, I'm just going to show you how to. I'm going to walk you through what it does. So again, the Firebase object, we call auth on it. And now, if you remember, we had create user, and then we did logout, and then this one is sign in with email and password. And we have to give it the text input that we just created, which I called email value login. And this one I called email password value login, if you guys remember. Of course, when you guys do it for yourself, please use better name. So when things work out, we save the user ID and then we kind of reset whatever errors was in login error. And we go to the home screen. That's how you log in. When things don't work out, when we catch an error, we're going to reset the user ID to empty, to nothing. And we're gonna put the error that we receive from Firebase into that logging error stored variable. And then we're gonna sign out, and we're gonna stay where we are. Saving this, I now have my login function, save. All right, I'm going back. I'm gonna try to not do that same error 3 times. So I'm gonna make sure that on tap of the login button, I run a custom function that I just wrote, which is called login. Okay, let's give that a try. Preview. Oops, sorry, I can preview again. For people who don't know, just mentioning it, there's also a way for you to use the Expo Go app, so you can scan that QR code and essentially preview what we're previewing right now, but on your phone, on your device. So that's really cool to get a better sense of the real experience that your user might have. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the browser preview, just because it's simpler for the demo. Okay, I'm going to log in for my credential again. Toto and Toto2. Let's try it out. Draftbit.com. Toto. Oh, wait, no, sorry, that's a password. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if I remember correctly. Let's try it. Yay, and it worked. So I arrived on the home screen, and this is the user ID that I received from Firebase, which matched this one. That is indeed my Firebase Authentication project. So that's it. We've now logged in, log out, and yeah, so now that should cover everything. Before I open it up to questions or any kind of comments you guys might have, I'm going to try to do one bonus thing. I'm going to try to do one essentially to show you guys how you would go about protecting a screen. So let's say on that home page, for some reason, we're going to add another button that goes directly to the home page, to the home screen. Because I want to illustrate to you, because we have a little bit of time, how if you were to like shortcut all that sign up login process and try to access the home screen, how you should be redirected to the index screen if you're not logged in. So that's what I'm going to try to show here. So try to go to home, untap. I'm going to navigate to the home screen. I'm not going to pass in any data. That's just what I'm going to do. So right now, that should essentially just go. Let's try it out. Yeah, so I click on it. I go to the home screen. That worked. I'm going to log out from here. And because I logged out, I resetted my user ID and I went back to index. But again, because in index now I have this link to home, I can get to home as like a non-authenticated user, which is not good. That's not what I want. I want to only be able to get there when I'm authenticated. So there are a couple of things we're going to do to protect, quote unquote, that screen. So on the home screen, we're going to add some stuff in that custom hook, inline custom hook. And if you remember, that inline custom hook is going to show up right here at the beginning of your home screen code. So let's try it. All right, make sure I have the right screen, home. Okay, so that's the part I'm going to explain to you guys. All right, so those first two lines are the same. Okay, so this is essentially just to, again, access the stored variable. So there's nothing fancy there. We just get and set stored variable. But we've added that custom, that inline hook that essentially says, if in my variable, I don't have a user ID, or if it's empty, or if it's equal to null, or whatever condition you want, then navigate back to the index screen. So don't show me this screen, okay? And that's all we need. And so if you're a little bit curious to see what that looks like, this is what it's going to be. So here at the beginning, of, like inline in that home screen, if I don't have any user ID, I go back to index. So let's try it. Well, so I previewed the home and I went back to index. Let's see if it works when I do it like this. Yeah. So now every time I click home, I'm navigating to the home screen, and that inline hook is being run and says, because there is no user ID in the stored variable, then go back to index. So that's essentially how you're going to protect your screen. And so hopefully if I do sign up, now I should be able to type a little too fast. Okay, if I do sign up, I should be able to get to that home screen like fully now authenticated. And that's it, guys. I think that's essentially how you do a logging, sign up, log out, and how you protect your screen to make sure only your authenticated user can access it by using Firebase Authentication. Wrapping things up, again, I will share this recording on the community site as well as all the code snippets that I used. So give me a couple of days to get that out there. And then if you have any questions on it, feel free to use the community site. That's where most of us, all of us, are pretty active. So that's where you should, don't hesitate to contact us there. All right, that's it. Thank you very much.